Hey, students, this is Mr. Jackson. I'm back for another exciting week in history where the past comes alive. I just wanted to share with you that I'm excited about this week again as we journey through leaving Western expansion going into Civil War. And so we're going to have another exciting lesson. I can't wait to see you guys on Tuesday and Wednesday. Yes. All right. So I can give shout out to every last one of you. But before we get started, I want to kind of just share some things with you. I know that this online learning is challenging and it's so different from what we're traditionally used to doing in the classroom. And it's not the same interaction that we normally have. I, like you, I too miss doing the interacting with you guys and seeing how things are. But you know, this is where we're at, and this is the cards that have been dealt with us. So we have to deal with this challenge as it has been presented to us. But with that being said, I do want to kind of mention some housekeeping expectations that when you're in the online classroom, that's a little different from the traditional setting. Number one, I want when you come into the classroom, I need everyone to have their mics on. Because it's kind of challenging to be able to hear what an individual is saying in the event if everyone has their mics off. So make sure that when you come into the room, all mics are off. Also, the chat feature. The chat feature is only used when I ask you to ask you a question and then you need to post up that question, or if you need to post up a question to come directly to me. You should not be using the chat feature while someone is talking, and certainly when I'm delivering instruction, because you possibly could miss something that's very important if you're back chatting and back and forth with a friend of yours. I know you're excited to see each other, and I want you to have those moments, but you need to wait to chat to after class is over with, and then you can consumerate chatting with one another. But doing instructional teaching as well as when someone else is speaking, there should not be any chatting unless I directly ask you a question. Do know that your chat is being recorded. The whole session is actually being recorded. Everything that you say and everything that you do online is being recorded. So I would recommend to you that if you that you may not want to put something in that chat, or if you are chatting, that is something that we can record and send to your parents. And I don't want to do that. I don't think we need to do that. That's why it's important that we just stay away from that whole chat feature altogether. Also, I want to talk about you guys, the amount of work that you have to do. I get that it's a little stressful. I do, because you got all four courses plus your specials. I get that it's a little stressful. So I want to kind of share with you, looking at this document, I want to show you something. This document here, this is your document that you're going to be working on the HyperDoc along with Admentum. I don't want you. I want you guys to just understand, like, don't do so much in one day, and take many breaks. Because we can't go outside, we really can't do anything. Don't let this overstress you. A lot of this on the HyperDot. Now, at Mentum, everything in there, I tell you, you have to do, you know, the lessons in there. But on the HyperDoc, a lot of this stuff I just put in here that you guys can do. It's optional. You don't actually have to do it. So like Monday, all you do is your 30-minute reading, your tutorial, and that you do. And I already put the guided notes. Let me see here. You can see there. I already put the guided notes up for you to do. I mean, I've already filled them out. You don't have to do anything of that. Then on Tuesday and Wednesday, that's when you meet with me. Make sure you have your guided notes with you because we're going to be talking about those. And then on Thursday, all you have to do is look at this interactive map. Look at that. It's already up, the interactive map. And then it's optional if you want to write your down your answers in a Google Doc. You don't have to do that. All you have to do, what is required, is this first part up here, right here. I'm gonna highlight it right there. That's all you have to do. And then this is all optional. You don't have to do the manufacturing, to click on the agriculture and write down answers. That's just an activity I gave you in case you wanted to further your study. And then if you mosey on down here to Friday, all you need to do is read about tariffs, watch the video, read about steamboats, watch the video, and you don't have to do every last one of these. You just pick either steamboat level or locomotive. Now, this at the top you do need to do. Read about tariffs and watch the video, but steamboat or locomotive, it's a level. If you want to do beginner's level, do the steamboat. If you want to do advanced level, do a locomotive. All you do is read the article and watch the video, and you're done. You don't have to do this highlighted portion right here. The write a haiku on what was learned about technology. You don't have to do that. That's strictly optional. As a matter of fact, all of this down here is optional. Oh, I'm sorry. Then you down here says finish the North and Tatara, complete the mastery test. This is just some guided notes. That's just for your mastery test. But then all of this down here in the reflect. I do ask that you do the reflect form. I do ask it so that you can tell me what you learned from this week. But this stuff down here in explore, that's all optional. Once again, explore is all optional. It's just there if you want it. Okay. And then there's some questions that you know if you may have what to do if you feel a little overwhelmed, what happens if you want to do more, and all that kind of things. Those things are all there for you for your likings. Okay, so just note that we're trying to. I don't want to make this as difficult for you, so make this as simple and easy for you as possible, and best that we can. Oh, let me see. It's coming out a little grainy. Oh. All right, so I'm going to move on from there. The next thing I want to talk to you about was this week's upcoming lesson. Real quickly, this week's upcoming lesson is going to deal with the Civil War. Okay, now we talked last week about going west, Western expansion, and we talked about how the nation is actually expanding for the first time. We're getting more states, and then my great state of Texas is now part of the whole going west. But our state, as you can see in this map, we're no longer those 13 states or anymore. We're now expanding. We're like over 20 states now. And so we're really moving as a nation, becoming a big country. But there is a problem. As you can see, the north and the south, north up here and the southern is all in the red, the north is all in the blue. We're becoming very different in how we look at America. And that's going to be a problem because there's an issue, as you learned about in reform movement, when you learned last week about Western expansion reform movement, people don't like slavery anymore. And the problem is there's a lot of people who do like slavery and they don't want you telling them how to deal with slavery. And the downside is the people in the north don't like slavery, and the people in the South do like slavery, and it's becoming a very big divide. And one of the reasons why it's such a big divide in the whole North and the South is just the way they're set up. Now, I can't go into too much because unless we were in the classroom, if you remember back to when we spread the geographic regions, remember the North doesn't have very many agriculture because it has rocky soil. Whereas the South had all those cash crops, and somebody had to work the cash crops. And the Southerners, so the North never really built its population up on around cash crops because it didn't have it. It had big cities that people lived in, and so because they had big cities, they built big factories. Whereas the South was little small towns, little country towns like this with big Southern agriculture fields, like Mr. Jackson grew up in Texas. And so you had these big fields that everyone worked in, and because everyone worked in these fields, the South primarily used slaves. Well, by the way, this is a picture of the factory. They economically disagreed in how they got their money, and then also another divide was cultural. Like I said, the South believed in slaves. The North did not. The North believed in using factory labor, but that's because the North did not have agriculture fields to work in. They had rocky soil, so they didn't build up their economy off of cash crops. They built their economy up off people working inside of factories. Well, because of this, it has led to a great, huge divide in our nation, and people are, I mean, heavily divided. Like they're like at war with each other over these cultural and social differences. Because now that we're one United States country and we're trying to make laws that fit everybody, now there's a problem because the North is saying we don't want slaves, and the South is saying yes, we want slaves, and because the South is afraid that it's going to devastate their economy. If you took slaves out, I mean, think about it. Let's imagine Loudoun County not paying any of its teachers. Let's pay it. They would save millions, if not billions of dollars if they didn't have to pay any of their teachers. That's more money that they could take and invest inside of the school system. That's why it becomes a problem. But now the problem is, if you don't pay Mr. Jackson, I don't have a job, and that means I can't eat. So the Loudoun County has to pay. And then too, I probably won't show up for work if I can't find it, if I can't make any money. I got to go wherever the money is. So that's why the South did not want to pay slaves, because it would devastate their economy. They're like, if we have to start paying slaves, then that means we're going to lose billions on billions of dollars. And they said, no way. We are keeping our slaves, and we are not paying them, and we're not ending slavery. It's a huge part of our economy. And the North is like, no, that's horrible, man. Remember those abolitionists that you learned during the cultural reform? The abolitionists are like, no, that's horrible. You can't own slaves. That's just not. You can't own. It shouldn't say slaves. You can't own another human, because slaves are human. You can't own another human. Well, that led to a big, huge cultural divide, and that's what set our nation on a course to eventually move us to the Civil War, and this is what's caused so many great problems, because the mistreatment of enslaved African Americans, and the cultural divide differences between the North and the South. One of those being, I should say, is the treatment of enslaved African Americans, and that's what leads us to, of course, eventually to the Civil War. We're going to talk about all this. I will expound upon this in class. I don't want to get too deep into it now. We'll expound upon this when you get to class about the cultural divide between the North and the South. Thanks for listening. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye. And